Okay, here's the situation. We've got an unheated back porch, no real utilities out here other than the washer dryer. So obviously we have plumbing both in the wall and of course the lines running from the cutoff valves to the washer itself. And the thing is, this is Illinois. It gets really cold back here, so these could freeze, and this house is no longer fully occupied, so it's going to be sitting empty during those cold snaps, and we need to do something to protect those pipes and the pipes in the wall as well. Alright, for my solution, I found online these ultra cheap, like $20 400 watt space heaters. Now, these do not have thermostats on them, and that's not how I would want them to work anyway. I wanted to be a little more scientific, and I need remote control. So the other part of the solution is this remote thermostatic Wi-Fi enabled switch. Basically, what that is it goes in line in the power cord. It uses a thermistor here that can be, in this case, I'm going to probably tape it to one of the water lines or put it in the most vulnerable point on the plumbing, and I'll put this in line with the power cord for the space heater, and I can turn this on and off remotely, set the parameters to come on and go off at whatever temperatures I like remotely, so I don't have to be here to do it. So I just monitor the temperatures, and if it's going to get cold, I can turn it on remotely. Alright, the first thing I need to do is figure out where, relative to the plug, I want to put the control unit. It's not real critical. I'm going to put it up kind of high on the wall. The thermistor lead is long enough to put it anywhere I want. So I'm going to cut the cord just a foot or so underneath. Now, one thing to remember, because this device, you have to differentiate the line, the hot, if you will, and the neutral lines. And on a plug like this, the small plug is the hot line, so that's the L in this case, and the big plug is the common or the neutral. So you wouldn't know how to trace that out other than the fact that the cable itself, you can see the hot line is labeled with the writing, and the common line, the neutral line, is not. So that way we can keep them straight. And I'm going to strip them both back. Split the cables, which sometimes is easier if you cut them a little bit, and then strip back a fairly short bit of insulation for connection. So I'll do the same on the other side and then show you what we need to do. Okay, in preparation, I'm going to run these screws up nice and high in their little protected niches here. And then I'm going to take the input line, which is of course the one with the plug on it, and I'm going to take the wires and prep them by twisting the conductors, just so there's no likelihood that a stray strand will get out and short out against its neighbor. I'll find the hot line, which in this case is the one with the writing on it, and I'll slide it into the leftmost slot and tighten it down. And then the neutral goes over there. Okay, do the same with the other line. Twist the lines together, the copper conductors. In this case, it being a low wattage device, the cables are not very big. Just make sure you get the polarity right, with the hot line going to the outside in this case, and the neutral going to the middle. Okay, all done. So we can put the cover back on this and should never have to have it off again. Okay, the reason I use this particular remote control device is that it works with the eWeLink app, which is one I use to control a lot of stuff I already have, so it just was simpler to do it that way. So while that's booting up, I'm going to go ahead and plug in this device to power up the Wi-Fi portion so I can get it hooked up. You can see it has powered up, and it's flashing 2 short, 1 long. So that's Morse code U, if that means anything. Okay, so I go back over to the app here, and you can see now I can see my devices for this particular home. And okay, I'm going to add a device, and then I'm going to hit add device in the next pop down. I found that the easiest option is the compatibility programming. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to hit next. And what it's doing is it's looking for compatible devices. It found it, so I need to connect to it. I go to connect, network. I open my network. I connect to the Wi-Fi. I paste in or show the password, which is 1 through 8 in numerals. I connect to it. Okay, not surprisingly, it shows no internet. Hit back a couple times, swipe back, and if everything worked right, it will automatically pair, and you can see it's retrieving device info, it's sent the network info, it's reconnecting to the router, and that can take a little bit, and it connected to the cloud, so now the device is activated, so we're ready to test it. Okay, the device is now showing up. I've turned on the switch on the space heater just to show that I can remotely turn it on and off manually. Not really exactly what I want to do though, so that's just to test that the switch is working properly. And we can go into the setup. I'm going to change the name, which I won't make you watch. Alright, change it to something descriptive. I save it. I'm going to go ahead and change some of the, let's see here, I'm going to assign a location to the particular house, and then yes, I do want to save it. I'm going to go back into the settings, and you notice the temperature was in centigrade, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but in this case I really want to make it Fahrenheit, so I'm going to save that back, and it's accurately reporting the temperature as 75.7. So I'm going to go ahead and test this after I set up the functionality for the auto. Okay, lower left, auto function. I want to control it by temperature. It does. Some units will have the opportunity to control by humidity, but not this one. I want it to turn off if the temperature is over, well, let's say 36 degrees. And I might fine-tune that as I go forward. So I'm going to save that option. I'm going to say I want it to turn on if the temperature is lower than, let's call it 34.5 degrees. Okay, that's probably pretty conservative, and I want the action to turn on. So let's go ahead and save that. So I've got both those set up. I've got it enabled. I'm going to save that automatic operation. And you notice now I can no longer turn the unit on and off with the button. It's being controlled by the thermostat, which is just what we want. So let's test it out. And here's the thermistor attached to the unit, and you can see it's reporting 75.9 degrees Fahrenheit. Let me zoom in just a little bit to make it more compelling video, and I'll just drop that in ice water, which should bring it down pretty quickly. It will take a while. The thermistor, it's a fairly large probe, so it does take it a while to cool off. So let's go fast forward. And there you go, folks. You see it turned on at 33.6 degrees. Space heater's running, it's warming up. Let's assume that the room starts warming up as you would expect. I'll let the space heater help it along a little bit here. So obviously there's a time delay. It only reads the temperature periodically. So as soon as it does the next temperature update, it should probably tell the device that it's plenty warm, and it did. Turned off the heater. So there you go. Completed install. The device, I screwed it to the wall, although it didn't have to be. It's down here. You can see the thermistor. I just tied it loosely around the most vulnerable items here. Basically as far away from the wall as possible at the machine itself, where it's likely to get as cool as anywhere. And of course the space heater is just down here heating this thin piece of real estate here. So honestly, I don't expect this thing's going to have to run very much at all to keep this area back here just above freezing. You don't really have to worry about the temperature dropping down to 32 for 10 minutes. That's not going to freeze anything. It takes a good long while below freezing to freeze anything. But this will just ensure it never happens for a total outlay of about $40, maybe 15 minutes of effort. It's a good solution, and one that I can control remotely from wherever I am in the country or the world for that matter. And here's the second device I configured, set up similarly for this upstairs bathroom that borders the unfinished attic, so it does get very cold in here. My concern was the plumbing to the toilet and to the sink. As you can see, the space heater is just set up to warm up this tiny little room, and I've got the thermocouple in proximity of the water pipes. So basically it's set up the same way. If it gets right at freezing or just slightly above, it will kick on until it's no longer almost freezing. So that should take care of it. And again, I can control this from anywhere in the country, and it will report the temperature up here so I know when I need to take action. So definitely a peace of mind thing if you have a home you're trying to keep from freezing when you're not here. The next video will be applying heat tape to the plumbing that is behind this wall. So stay tuned for that one.